Rivalry Week is here. And here's how Michigan can ruin Ohio State season. Locked on Big Ten starts right now.
You are Locked On Big Ten, your daily podcast on the Big Ten Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Big Ten. I'm Craig Shemon, 40 years as a sports talk show host and play-by-play announcer, and I want to thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And today's episode is brought first purchase. So, Michigan, Ohio State, Rivalry Week, the game. We're going to get into it a little bit here. And there's some good news for the Badgers, by the way, quarterback-wise on the recruiting trail. And we'll have our TV and kickoff times for this final weekend of the regular season. And our Tuesday tweets. You want to hang around? Some sense of humor there. Good stuff. If Michigan beats Ohio State for a fourth straight year, that would really ruin Ohio State's season. Now, I can hear Buckeye fans starting to change the channel right now, but you might want to wait. Can it happen? Maybe. Look, when we say it could ruin Ohio State's season, that has some context to it. If the Buckeyes did lose on Saturday, they would still just be a two-loss team. They would still be ranked in the top 10, and they would still make it to the newly expanded 12-team college football playoffs. Most teams would consider that a successful season, but not at Ohio State. A shot at a Big Ten championship and later a shot at a national championship is always the goal, but those accomplishments have to also come with a win against Michigan. It just has to. Plus, having lost to them 3 years in a row, it really has to this time around. Raising a 2024 Big Ten championship banner or a 2024-25 national championship banner always would come with the reminder, hey, isn't that the year that Ryan Day lost to Michigan for the fourth straight time? They don't want any of that. Can't have that in Columbus, Ohio. Michigan means everything around Columbus. So take care of that first. Then the Buckeyes will worry about Oregon, the Big Ten title game in Indianapolis, and a playoff run throughout December. But that's all for next week and the weeks to follow. I guarantee you right now, as we sit here with this podcast, you and me, not a single coach or player on the Buckeyes football team is thinking beyond Saturday. It always starts as soon as they always finish that next to last game. There's no 24 hours to enjoy it or relax. It starts now, the countdown to the Michigan game. That's how they always approach that next to last Saturday going into Rivalry Week. They did it during Urban Meyer. They do it with Ryan Day. Very intense about it. It's all they think about. And I guarantee you that's how it's going. In fact, Ryan Day was even thinking about Michigan during the Indiana game. That was apparent. With the Buckeyes up 31-15 inside 2 minutes to go, the game was over. Travion Henderson broke free for 39 yards, and he downed it at the 1 yard line, gave himself up so that the Buckeyes could run out the clock, not run out the score. Well, it seems like Ryan Day wasn't having any of that. So he ran a quarterback sneak from the 1 yard line out of victory formation. Now, Indiana stopped it. Anytime you hear somebody say, hey, somebody's running up the score, there's always somebody that says, well, stop it. Indiana stopped it on that play. But with second down with 35 seconds to go, Ryan Day and Ohio State did it again. This time Howard scored, and the Buckeyes won 38-15 instead of 31-15. Why? Well, Ryan Day said in his pregame and his postgame, so this was his message during the week, that he did not want to leave any doubt. Leave no doubt, he kept saying. You know, with that last play, he left no doubt. And he served a couple of messages at once. Not one message, but two different groups of people. The first message was to Michigan, because Michigan lost to Indiana a few weeks ago, 20-15. Now Ohio State beat them by 23, not 16. That was a message. That was a message to Michigan. Hey, we're better than you. We pounded this team. You lost to them. That's what that was all about. And he wanted to run up the score for that. It's also a jab at Indiana, trying to keep Indiana in its place after its 10-0 start And of course, it was a shot to Curt Cignetti, who famously said Purdue sucks and Michigan and Ohio State sucks too at an Indiana basketball game after he was hired by the Hoosiers back in January. Message heard. Get it. All right, we all got that. But back to our original question. Can Michigan pull off an upset and ruin Ohio State's season? Well, Michigan, it's no big secret, has struggled mightily this year, but they may have played their best game of the year last week in a win over Northwestern. 50-6 was the final score. It's a 44-point margin of victory. Not bad. Pretty impressive no matter who you're playing. But I know what you're thinking. You're going, it was just Northwestern, right? Michigan should blow them out. Should beat them by 44 points. Well, if we're going to compare scores and point margins and all that stuff and sending messages, Ohio State played Northwestern the week before and only beat them by 24, 31-7. Maybe Michigan was trying to send a message to Ohio State that, hey, we're finally putting it together here at the end of the season. Our running game is happening. Our defense is happening. Be ready for us. Maybe. I know Ryan Day was definitely sending a message to Ann Arbor. I don't know if it was Ann Arbor sending a message to Columbus, Ohio as well. Perhaps. That's what this week is all about. All fun aside for just a moment. Michigan needs to tap into that running game that seems to be working. And on defense, Michigan's front of Kenneth Grant and Mason Graham and Josiah Stewart, they're playing as well as any front unit in all of football right now, although Ohio State's defensive front is looking pretty good too. There's going to be a lot of NFL players from both the Michigan defensive front and the Ohio State defensive front in the near future. There's no question about that. But one big question mark for Michigan, I don't know if corner Will Johnson's going to play or not. He's been hurt. Jerome Moore he doesn't give any intel. He's very catty with these kind of things. He doesn't like to give out too much information on injuries and keep the other team guessing. Will Johnson hasn't played. My guess is he's not going to play. There were some stories floating around that, he was injured. And then at some point said, you know what? Why come back? I got to stay healthy. I'm a first-round NFL pick. Let's say it's been done before. So I don't know if he'll play. Maybe this game means something to him still, and he wants to be out there and playing in this game. I will say this, without Will Johnson at corner, it's going to be a tough day because Jeremiah Smith and Emeka Egbuka are the real deal for Ohio State. Could be a long day for the Wolverines secondary. And it goes without saying that Michigan has struggled to throw the ball. They started 3 different quarterbacks this season. They rank 104th in the country in passing. And Ohio State's defense is solid, particularly up front. Well, they will be bringing pressure. They just brought a whole bunch of pressure to Indiana. In fact, Indiana brought in a pretty good passing attack into Columbus this past Saturday, and it was shut down. Ohio State clamped that down with pressure on the quarterback, and Indiana is non-existent, them trying to throw on the outside and throw deep and all that. So these are the things, these are the matchups we're going to be watching here for the game on Saturday. Early odds makers are planning on a long day for Michigan. Right now, Ohio State is a 20.5-point favorite. That's like almost double what the number was for the Indiana game. And the over-under is at 43.5, kind of low for such a big blowout. So Vegas is telling us it's looking for a 32-12-ish score. So that's what the odds makers have here early in the week. We'll see if that line moves whatsoever. I know we got Michigan fans and Buckeye fans all watching and listening right now. Would love your comments back and forth. Would love your trash talk back and forth as well. Always love the comments on YouTube. Hit us up with all of that. Don't forget, you can follow us on Twitter and X at Talk Big Ten. And that's always good. And we're about to have our Tuesday tweets as well. Got some good news for the Wisconsin Badgers on the recruiting trail as well. But I'd like to ask, if you don't mind, if you could just hit the subscribe button right there real quick. It's free. It's always free. It just helps you and me be together with all things Big Ten, because we're out here every day on Locked On Big Ten. If you could subscribe, share, follow, like Locked On Big Ten for free, wherever you get your podcast. That way you get the latest episode of this podcast as soon as it becomes available each and every day. Also, don't forget to check out our website, talkbig10.com. All of our podcasts go there, but we also have links to merchandise from all your schools. If you want to get show some school spirit with a hat, t-shirt, jacket, shop for Christmas, we got Black Friday specials on there as well. It's all there at Talk Big Ten. All right, I want to get to the Wisconsin Badgers and the good news that they have at quarterback finally, right at the 11th hour, right before signing day starts. We got all the TV and kickoff times all ironed out for Rivalry Weekend as well, and we'll tell you when we're going live this weekend as well. All that's coming up in 1 minute right here on Locked On Big Ten. You want to go to a game? You need a ticket. Get Gametime. Get the Gametime app. Have it on your device, your phone. It's so simple to use. Upfront pricing right away. No guessing later on what the tickets will cost. And they do tickets to everything, sporting events and non-sporting events, concerts and comedy shows. If it needs a ticket and you need a ticket, you get it on Gametime. So download the Gametime app, and they've got their lowest price guarantee where they will credit you 110% of the difference if you find a different price. They've got the Gametime ticket coverage. Your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Take all the guesswork out of buying tickets to games and concerts. Download the Gametime app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCollege. It's LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Well, I thank everybody for making Locked On Big Ten your first listen each and every day, especially you everydayers out there. Thank you very much for making us go. Meanwhile, be sure to subscribe on YouTube, share and follow like Locked On Big Ten, your team every day. And in your extra time, don't forget to peruse our website, talkbig10.com, and all the Black Friday sales going on there. Great news, I think, for the Wisconsin Badgers. All right, we got signing day next week starting for recruits. And they've had some trouble at quarterback since Luke Fickell has taken over. They got a verbal commitment from the best remaining quarterback in the class of 2025. And it was fortuitous how this thing all fell in their lap, really. It's four-star dual threat quarterback, four-star quarterback, Carter Smith. We've talked about Carter Smith on this podcast before. He's from Bishop Verot in Fort Myers. He says he's playing for Luke Fickell, going to the Badgers. Now, his services just recently became available when he decommitted from Michigan, to whom he'd been committed since Jim Harbaugh was there last fall. He really wanted to go there. But Michigan's recent multi-million-dollar flirtation with number one five-star quarterback Bryce Underwood forced Smith to open up his recruitment availability. And as we learned last week, Michigan was able to flip Underwood, who had been committed to LSU. So the big announcement last week, and Carter had already sniffed this out. So he bolted, decommitted a couple weeks ago. He had been looking at Florida State, but they flipped Oklahoma quarterback Kevin Sperry. He was a commit to Oklahoma. They got him last week. Also, Carter Smith had received some other offers, or at least interest, I should say, from a lot of other schools. Some of them Big Ten teams, Penn State, Illinois. There was also Clemson, Cal, and Virginia Tech. But Smith took an official visit to Wisconsin for last weekend's nationally televised game versus number one Oregon. And the Badgers lost the game 16-13. It was a game, though, that, first of all, was a great atmosphere at Madison. Great game to show off the campus to them. But that game was clear that a good, accurate quarterback at Wisconsin could make a difference. They should have won the game. They could have won the game, but Braden Locke was missing open receivers, and it cost him, and it was just a 3-point game. So he saw that, he decided he's going to go. And look, Luke Fickell, he's winding down his second season in Madison, and it's clear that quarterback has been an issue, and it's what's holding this program back right now. Tanner Mordecai last year was not the right fit for that system. I don't know why they brought him in as a transfer. This year, they brought in Miami transfer Tyler Van Dyke, whose season ended in September, unfortunately, with a season-ending knee injury against Alabama back in September. Braden Locke, who we were just talking about, he's got some accuracy issues. So the Badgers have failed down to lock down that QB1 spot for some time. So a good recruit here. This is good news as they bring him in. Carter Smith from Southwest Florida going to be fighting for that QB1 job right away for Luke Fickell and the Wisconsin Badgers. All right, let's take a look at let's fill in all the gaps we had on the TV times and kickoff times, because there were a lot of options as the networks cherry picked and chose what games they want to carry and when. So here we go. 2 Big Ten games on Friday, Black Friday, November 29th, day after Thanksgiving. We got 6-5 Minnesota at 5-6 Wisconsin. Speaking of the Badgers, that's at noon Eastern on CBS. Wisconsin wins that game, they're going bowling. If not, they're not. Also on Friday, Nebraska 6-5, bowl eligible. Congratulations, first time since 2016 at Iowa Kinnick Stadium. They're 7-4, and that place is going to be rocking at night, 7:30 Eastern on NBC. On to Saturday, the game. Michigan, defending national champion, Big Ten champs, their last stand. They're at 6-5. At least they're going bowling, taking on the mighty Ohio State Buckeyes, who come into this game 10-1, ranked number 2 in the country. That's the 12 noon, big noon kickoff on Fox, noon Eastern. Illinois and Northwestern, the battle of the state of Illinois, be at Wrigley Field. Illinois coming in at 8-3, had that crazy game against Rutgers. 3 lead changes in the last 3 minutes last week to get their 8th win. They win this, it's 9. They win a bowl game. It's a 10-win season for Brett Bielema. Northwestern at 4-7, trying to get their 5th win. This also be at noon Eastern on the Big Ten Network. Maryland is at Penn State. Maryland is coming up a little short this year at 4-7. And Penn State, though, at 10-1, still got an outside chance to make it to the Big Ten championship game if Ohio State stumbles. I'll run through that in just a second. Penn State 10-1 versus Maryland at Happy Valley at Beaver Stadium. That is at 3:30 Eastern on the Big Ten Network. Notre Dame at USC. Big rivalry between these two. Notre Dame coming in at 10-1. USC, a disappointing season. This is a 3:30 CBS game, 3:30 Eastern. Rutgers at 6-5 at Michigan State, 5-6, 3:30 FS1. Then UCLA at 3:30 on the Big Ten Network, 3:30 Eastern. Coming in with 4-7, just going to come up short from bowl eligibility, taking on 6-5 Fresno State, 3:30 Big Ten Network. Now, Purdue and Indiana, the old Oaken bucket. This is normally always a noon game. Networks were holding out late in case Indiana was, in case they beat Ohio State last week, whatever the case is. Indiana's still an outside shot to make the Big Ten championship if 2 other things happen, but they're 10-1. We see if they got to win this game to stay playoff eligible. They're 10-1. Purdue's 1-10. That'll be the 3:30 game on that's the 7:00 game, 7 p.m. Eastern, FS1. Going to get prime time for the old Oaken bucket. And then finally, also in prime time, Washington at 6-5, taking on Dan Lanning. His team's coming off a bye. Oregon 11-0, trying to finish out the season undefeated. That's the 7:30 game, Big Ten Saturday night, NBC. All right. Now, programming notes for us to you. We're going to take off Thanksgiving Day. Hopefully you'll be with your families and all that. We're going to do the same. No podcast Thursday. So we hope you have a wonderful holiday with your family. Still normal schedule the rest of the week. We'll be on Wednesday. We'll have a podcast on Friday. And as you know, we go live on Saturdays after a big game. Normally we would go after the Ohio State Michigan game, but that's a little early. I want to kind of see how things play out on rivalry weekend moving forward. So we're going to go live on Locked On Big Ten on our YouTube channel like we do each and every week. And I want to recap the entire rivalry weekend. I want all the games to be played. So we're going to go Saturday night, late, right after the Washington-Oregon game finishes. So this will be around 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 o'clock Pacific. Mark your calendar, inviting you to join us. Hopefully you can be there. Now, here's what's at stake. If Ohio State beats Michigan, they'll face Oregon for the Big Ten championship game next week, December 7th in Indianapolis. If the Buckeyes get tripped up by Michigan, that's 2 losses for the Buckeyes. They'll be fine for the 12-team playoff. But if Ohio State loses and if Penn State beats Maryland, coupled with that Buckeyes loss, James Franklin and Penn State will go to the Big Ten championship game against Oregon. That's not all. If Ohio State loses to Michigan and Penn State loses to Maryland and Indiana beats 1-10 Purdue, then the Hoosiers will face Oregon in Indianapolis for the Big Ten championship. They only have one loss. And under these scenarios, Penn State and Ohio State would have two. So again, if Ohio State wins, they're in, no problem. Oregon is in no matter what happens in their game against Washington. And of course, it's Tuesday. So tonight, we get a look at the college football playoff poll for the College Football Committee. We're winding these down. Oregon and Ohio State should remain 1 and 2, respectively. Penn State, I think, will remain at 4, despite a scary 1-point win against Minnesota. Indiana is the question. How far do they fall from number 5? Will they still be in the playoff picture? Still 10-1, but no wins against ranked teams. And it was a sound loss to the number 2 team in the country at Ohio State. So Indiana probably going to be on the playoff bubble. So we'll find out Tuesday night. We'll talk about it on Wednesday's podcast. Just to note, Indiana's playoff rankings have mirrored the AP poll so far this season. And the AP poll dropped them on Sunday from 5th to 10th. If that still happens, if that same thing happens in the college football playoff, they'll still be in. So that'll be 4 Big Ten teams in the playoffs. All right. Your comments, hit me up on YouTube or at Twitter as well. Coming up, we got our Tuesday tweets. We share those with you. They're always good. That's next right here on Locked On Big Ten. FanDuel makes the excitement of watching games even more exciting. Tackle NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place your bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you want to check some stats, look at the score, it's all right there on the same page that you put your bets in. Just visit FanDuel.com and join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. It's Thursday, Thanksgiving Day football triple header. Bears +11 at Detroit. I think that'll be a closer game. Detroit will win, but I don't think they cover the 11. Detroit's banged up on defense, and the Bears are coming off an overtime game. I think both teams are going to be tired. Giants at Cowboys. Cowboys -4. Giants are horrible. I'll give the Cowboys the win here at -4. Dolphins +3. I like the upset at Green Bay on Thursday night. What do you think? You can do this at FanDuel.com. FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL. All right, it's time to take a look at our Tuesday tweets. We're going to put them on full screen. If you're audio only, I'll describe them in detail so we can all enjoy these together. We'll run through them here. This is from that Big Noon Kickoff on Fox. It is a shot of a street sign outside of the Horseshoe in Columbus, Ohio. Speed limit 20, except everything with an M is X'd out. They don't allow M for Michigan anywhere in Columbus, Ohio, even the street signs. Here is a picture from at Isaiah Hull, who's part of the Locked On family, Locked On Wolverines. There's a picture of Bryce Underwood taking the field as a Michigan commit for the first time this past weekend against Northwestern, just a day or two after the big announcement that he was coming. Looks like he's being greeted warmly, to say the least. And here's from at the Wolverine on 3, Connor Stallions taking a picture with Bryce Underwood. Yeah, I remember Connor Stallions, Spygate, and he happened to be Underwood's coach in high school. And now he's coming to Michigan. That's great. Here's a face-to-face picture of a Buckeye and a Wolverine in the snow at Swish X5s. Says 6 days, 6 more days. That's it till these two get together. They don't like each other, I hear. Here's more not allowing M in Columbus, Ohio. This is at Dylan Everyday. He says it's officially hate week. This was the scoreboard at Ohio State Stadium as soon as the Indiana game was over. As soon as it was over. It's got the big block M logo for Michigan crossed out versus Ohio State, the game, and the countdown at this particular point, 6 days 20 hours, 36 minutes, 45 seconds. Countdown since then, but that's what it was at the time. They're ready. Here's from at Yahoo Sports. The Buckeyes are for real. Picture of Ryan Day looking stern. Ohio State has beaten 2 top 5 teams this season. And they played 3. The other one was Oregon. 1-point loss. Pretty tough schedule. Here is former Buckeyes quarterback Justin Fields, now with the Steelers. He was at the game this weekend with Brutus the Buckeye. This is at Brutus Buckeye, a long time no see. That's right, reunited. Now, elsewhere, here's from at College Football Report. This is a video of Nebraska fans storming the field after becoming bowl eligible for the first time in 8 years. And it says, honestly, just let them have it. Let them storm the field. That's right. Congratulations to Nebraska. Here's another one at College Football on Fox. It is a picture of Matt Rule with the graphic bowl eligible. First time since 2016, Nebraska bowl eligible. Everybody's celebrating it. It's good. Here we go. More with Rivalry Saturday at CBS Sports College Football. Heading down to sunny Los Angeles next Saturday for a storied rivalry showdown as number 6 at Notre Dame football takes on at USC college football with a potential college football playoff berth on the line for the Fighting Irish. They will air that at 3:30 Eastern time on CBS, as we told you. It's a graphic with the quarterbacks and the logos and all that good stuff, all that fanfare. Here's from at BetMGM. It is a picture of Kurt Signetti sitting in front of his Hoosiers before they come onto the field. And it says, does a one-loss Indiana still deserve a spot in the college football playoff? And it's looking for a vote. I think they get in barely. Might be the last team in. Here's from at gopherhole.com. Says it's a picture of the Gopher mascot throwing snowballs at the Wisconsin State sign. Happy Monday to everybody except Wisconsin. It's hate week, it's rivalry week, all that good stuff. Even the mascots get into it like that. It's crazy. Anyway, and those two, of course, face each other, as we said, at noon Eastern on CBS. What'd you think? Go ahead and send me something on Twitter if you want me to post it on here. I'll be glad to do it every Tuesday. We do Tuesday tweets. Always a bunch of fun. At X, at Talk Big 10. Don't forget, hit me up with a comment or do some cross-rival talk on our comment section on YouTube as well. And don't forget our website, talkbig10.com, where all of our podcasts go. And Black Friday deals for your school spirit merchandise right there if you want to do some Christmas shopping for somebody. Be sure to subscribe before you go if you don't mind. It's free. It's just a click of a button, and that's it. It takes literally a second. And you can follow this podcast right now on your favorite podcast app, and you'll get the latest episode of Locked On Big Ten as soon as it is available each and every day. Coming up, another step forward, another preview toward Rivalry Week. And we'll have our midweek power rankings, plus our Big Ten players of the week, all that stuff right here. Tell your friends about us. Thanks for joining us here today. Can't wait till we talk again tomorrow. I'm Craig Shemon for Locked On Big Ten.